Well, the European Commission proposes its members cut gas usage by 15% between August and March. The reduction would be voluntary, but this could be made legally binding if Russia cuts off gas supplies to Europe. And the bloc is rushing to fill its gas storage ahead of winter as it's battling record heat waves. Russia's Gazprom has already stopped delivering to some EU states, and the proposal needs to be approved by a majority of EU countries. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said that the region needs to stand ready.
Russia is blackmailing us. Russia is using energy as a weapon. And therefore, in any event, whether it's a partial major cutoff of Russian gas or a total cutoff of Russian gas, Europe needs to be ready.
For more, Rosie Bush joins us from Paris. Rosie, strong words from the EC president. Give us the latest on the gas usage proposal, and is Russia likely to resume gas exports to Europe tomorrow?
Well, the European Commission, that is the EU's executive, has unveiled these emergency plans written up in really emergency circumstances, asking EU member states to voluntarily cut their gas consumption by 15% until March, so until next spring. Now, this comes against the backdrop of the Russian energy giant Gazprom cutting fully or partially supplies to 12 EU member states so far. But European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen says that a full shutdown is now likely. Now, Gazprom, we should note, says those supply disruptions are due to either contractual issues or repairs. However, the European Commission, and certainly the suspicion here in Paris and in many other EU capitals, is that Russia is trying to blackmail the EU nations, trying to divide them, to weaken them, and convince them perhaps to ease sanctions that were imposed on Russia over its invasion of Ukraine. Now, these disruptions, as you mentioned, have come into sharp focus when it comes particularly to the Nord Stream 1 pipeline. That's that pipeline which funnels gas from Russia into Germany. There have been serious supply disruptions over the past week or so. Gazprom says absolutely down to repairs. There were fears whether or not that gas supply would resume. The reports for now, Elizabeth, are that gas supplies will resume on Thursday, but not at their original level. So not as much gas will be flowing back toward Germany as was originally hoped for. Ukraine, we should note, would like EU countries to go even further, not just to cut their gas consumption from Russia, but actually to place a full embargo on all Russian gas. That's something which has been far too politically divisive for EU countries to agree so far. That's because historically the European Union as a bloc is reliant on Moscow for energy supplies, but there are different levels of reliance depending on which country you ask. Before this invasion, the EU as a whole counted on Moscow for around 40% of its natural gas imports.
Yeah, and Rosie, also leading nations, including the US, some European nations, as well as the G7, they're working out the details of a ban on gold exports from Russia. What is the outcome likely to be? And if we may dive deeper, why gold?
Well, the European Union, as a 27-member bloc, can't just unilaterally impose sanctions. They need to be hashed out, decided on, agreed upon by all 27 member states. And that's exactly what is happening now. So EU ambassadors, representatives of all those 27 countries, have been meeting. So far, we don't have any news from them as to whether they've agreed the details on moving forward with a ban on imports of Russian gold, under which circumstances, when that would be phased in, and so on. However, past packages of sanctions have been very contentious, very difficult to agree on, particularly when it came to a ban on Russian oil imports. This time round, it's seen as something which is much easier for EU member states to agree. It's not as the fallout is likely to be less when it comes to the impact here on European economies. So a decision is expected by the end of the week. Some of the other things in this sanctions package include, for example, reportedly at least targeting Sberbank, a major Russian bank, and targeting more individuals. Hundreds of Russian individuals have already been sanctioned. It was imposed travel bans or asset freezes on EU assets, on politicians, for example, on business people, and now more people are set to be added to that list. We should get some news within the coming days. the intention here, and the intention with all these sanctions, EU officials say, is to cripple the Kremlin's ability to keep financing its war in Ukraine. There's been some debate, Elizabeth, here in Europe as to whether sanctions are working. Hungary has questioned the methodology, but the European Union, as a bloc, the officials there, are really trying to double down on their pursuit, saying these sanctions are clearly working if you look at the state of the Russian economy.
Well, many thanks for speaking with us, Rosie Bush, there in Brussels.